You know, I think about us, the three of us, what we could be. I think about it all the time.
Please. It's terrible.
No, it's not. I know June. She's my friend. I care about her. How's your day going? You look pretty.
Thanks. I wore it just for you. Our father's a driver named Nick. He helped me to survive. Yes, you can, because I can't lose you.
I'm not gonna let anything happen to you.
What about you?
Your girlfriend is a badass.
Welcome to Above the Garage, a Nick and June, the Handmaid's Tale podcast. Hi, friends. Welcome to our spoiler-free and deep dive analysis of Season 3, Episode 1. So, we are going to change things up a little now that the Season 5 release date has come out in September, and we're super psyched about Season 5. We will need to hustle, though, to get through Season 4 before that comes out. So we're going to start trying to do 2 episodes a week on Monday and Thursday, one each. And we're going to combine the spoiler-free and deep dive by just having like a pause. If you're a new watcher, you can leave if you don't want to hear about us talk about the episode in the context of the show to date. The deep dives are getting shorter anyway as we get closer to Season 4. So we think and hope that this will work. Some episodes might be long. But yeah, I think that's all the information that we needed to give you about the changes in the format. Forgive me, I've gotten a cold since we actually recorded this episode, so I'm going to sound different as we dig into episode 1 of season 3. Let's do our round of introductions and dive in.
Hi, I'm Sarah.
Hi, I'm Raquel.
Hi, I'm Megan.
Hi, I'm Tina.
And I'm Kate. So this episode, the season starts off where the last one ended with Emily and Holly's getaway truck driving in the snow. And June voiceover says, please God, watch over her, protect her, because this isn't the place with the still waters and green pastures, if you haven't noticed. This is the valley of death, and there's a fuck ton of people to fear. Please get her the hell out of here. If she gets out, will she remember me? Will she know that I gave her away? I have reasons. There are always reasons. I'm sorry, baby girl. Mom's got work. And then June is running after Lawrence's car, which by my calculations should have been long gone by now. But miraculously, he must see her in the rearview mirror and comes back. And she looks as shocked as I was. And Lawrence gets out of the car and he slowly walks towards her. Are you insane? You didn't get in the truck? And then when she doesn't respond, thoughts? I love Lawrence. And then he tells her to get in the car and they can catch them before they cross the border. But she very ballsily threatens him. Well, first she asks him to take her to Commander McKenzie's, and then she turns it into a threat. And he says spunky and agrees to take her to the McKenzie house to see Hannah. Maybe he wants to say hi to his real life wife. Anyway, Amy Landecker plays Mrs. McKenzie now, and we love her.
Do you think it was Nick? When the car appears, it's literally just a headlight.
Oh man, no, I don't remember thinking that, but I'm glad I didn't, because it would have made me super sad when Lawrence got out.
Yeah. You would have been like,
And then we're with Serena and her freshly bandaged hand and empty nursery, having done the right thing for once. How's she gonna take it? As she walks up the stairs to June's room, where Nick is still sitting with his gun out, like fully out at this point, and he half-heartedly tries to prevent her from entering June's room, but she pushes past him. And Fred's like delighted to see her and tells her to go to the office and call 911. Let her pass, son. This has gone far enough, he tells Nick. I can't believe he's still calling Nick son at this point. I can't believe he's not just furious. And then Serena tells Fred that they should give her more time to get away. And he's completely baffled and asks, what did you do? And she says, I did what was best for my child. I love that Fred's been in June's room this whole time. Something about that.
Held hostage by Nick.
Exactly.
A whole level of enjoyment to me. And then Nick shuts Fred back in the room and lights a cigarette for Serena as a thank you for helping save his child. And then he goes back up to guard June's room. So I wonder how long has passed. How long do you guys think that Fred was in that room?
That's what I was going to ask.
Several hours at least. Yeah. Several hours.
I feel like they would have talked during that period, and I would like to see it. In fact, there were script notes.
Fred said something to Nick about, like, I can't believe you've done this. It was something along those lines. And Nick came back and was like, oh, I did it for her, for June. And he actually uses her name, which felt really significant because I don't think Fred at that point has Fred heard her name, like June? I don't think so, because the only one that really uses it in Gilead is Nick.
I mean, he certainly knows her name.
Oh, yeah.
Does Luke say her name when they see each other in Canada?
Oh, that's a good point. But yeah, I think that could have been significant, but I really would have liked to know what they said. You're right. Because something had to have been said between them. And I think at that point, if Fred did not already know, and I think he did, that like Nick was the father of the baby and had a thing with June, he for sure 100% knew at that point.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. I agree.
Absolutely. I think that the reason Fred calls Nick son still at this point, it's obviously not because he has some warm and fuzzy feelings towards him. Like, he must be so pissed. He just really wants to assert his own power over Nick in this scene. And the whole thing of Fred calling him son is about that. It's always been about power. Because that's the only thing Fred cares about.
Yeah, like he is beneath him or below him.
Patronizing.
I feel like this scene, though, like he was already feeling like he was losing power, I think, or realizing that he didn't have power in the house. And obviously this is the bottom of the barrel. Like, you don't have power over anybody at this point.
Right. Your own guardian is holding you hostage. The one, the one that's supposed to protect you.
Closing the door on his face as well. I love that bit.
His face is like amazing.
And sharing the smoke with your wife.
Yeah.
So they're both plan against you.
Everybody hates you, Fred. Everybody hates you.
It's the ultimate betrayal. Then we're with June outside the McKenzie house looking in, and she's seeing Hannah's kid stuff from the outside. Hannah's Martha's in the kitchen when June enters and scares the shit out of her. And she says Commander McKenzie is away for work. And Mrs. McKenzie goes to bed early, and she begs June to be careful as June goes up to Hannah's room, and then Anne. And the police lights are there already. So how did they know?
Just raise the alarm.
Maybe the Martha called them. Or maybe Lawrence's car was followed.
Or maybe, Fred got out of being held hostage and did finally call the police. And I don't know why they would know to show up there, though.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Nick would probably stay there all night, right?
Right.
Yeah. Maybe there were guardians on the ground at the McKenzie house that saw a strange car pull up.
Yeah, that's the only thing.
They got suspicious, yeah.
I don't think her Martha would have done anything.
I don't think there was enough time either, though.
Yeah, because it was like immediate.
Or maybe Mrs. McKenzie woke up and she called them.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, she goes into Hannah's room and she whispers, "Baby, I'm here. I'm not ever going to leave you. And I love you. I love you so much. I'm always here. I love you." And she touches her hand and she knows she can't get away. So she doesn't wake her up, but she does. I guess she pulls the string from her cloak and wraps it as a bracelet around her. So when she wakes up, she'll know that she was there. And then she goes into the hallway and puts her hands on her head and tells the guardians just not to scare her. Always being the good mom. But man, she would get put on the wall for this. Like,
oh yeah.
Mrs. McKenzie asks her guardian, Jonathan, to bring her back inside to talk, and says that Hannah slept through it all. And then when June says praise be, he hits her with the gun. But Mrs. McKenzie tells her this has to stop. She thanks her for bringing their daughter into this world, but she's had nightmares for weeks after the summer house. And she laughs and says, of course she told me I'm her mother. I guess when June looked disappointed. And she tells June that she's being cruel, confusing her like this. And June says, I'm confusing her.
Right.
Which is accurate. Like, I was infuriated when she said, thank you for bringing our daughter into this world.
It's just she's gaslighting her.
Yeah.
By, like, telling her, oh, your daughter's loved and happy. And here you are being cruel and confusing her, putting the blame on June when she's the kidnapper. And
I believe we're supposed to believe that Mrs. McKenzie's a nice woman,
She is.
Mom. But like, how could you even say those words,
Yeah. But at the same time, June's relationship with Mrs. McKenzie, it's so different from what she has with Serena. Like, there's a lot more animosity between June and Serena. I guess it's because like Mrs. McKenzie, she stole June's child, but she did it in a different way, or in a less active way than what Serena did. And also, she's never raped June or participated in raping her.
Right.
Unlike Serena.
And then on her way out, June just asks what Hannah's like. And Mrs. McKenzie says she's very happy. She's a healthy, blessed child. She's thriving. She's fine. She's amazing. She likes to sew, but she's not very good at it. But she is a good cook. And June says Luke cooks. He's good at it too. She says that she wants a dog, and June says she's allergic. Mrs. McKenzie says Hannah says she'll get the shots. By the way, I'm pretty fucking shocked that Gilead is handing out allergy shots. It seems very un-Gilead of them.
Same.
Also, the next thing she says does too. Mrs. McKenzie says maybe a golden doodle. Like, I'm also fairly shocked that they are creating hybrid dogs in Gilead. You don't ever see any, like, you never see a single pet dog in Gilead, right?
You just think there would be like
No.
German Shepherd or Rottweiler guard dogs
Yeah, just
because
guard
it's like
dogs.
hell. It's like hell. Like,
Yeah, it's just all working dogs.
yeah.
But Mrs. McKenzie and June do like have a moment of bonding over saying that Hannah won't follow through with the shots, that she hates shots. And June thanks her for taking care of her. And then Mrs. McKenzie again repeats, will you please stop? Because all of this is going to end with you dying on the ground in front of her, which is a good point. That is a very likely outcome. And she just tells her, if you love her, you have to stop. And she tells her that June has her eyes. It truly is a miracle. Why is that a miracle? What does that mean?
Right. It's, of
Yeah,
course,
it's-
she's like, I'm her mother. Of course, she has my eyes.
That's what she answers with that. Yeah, like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Of course she does.
And yeah, June replies, I'm her mother, and makes it clear too that that's her answer to Mrs. McKenzie's request, I think, to stop. And then the car brings June home, and Nick walks with her into the sitting room, and Fred dismisses him. Fred starts screaming at June that she's killed them all, and Fred asks where Nicole is, and June just talks straight to Serena. I like how she completely ignores Fred and promises her that she's safe. And Serena's angry too that June gave her to Joseph because she's a murderer. And June tells her, I did it because I have another baby that you tore out of my arms. When you did that, my baby screamed for her mother, and I hope this feels like that. And this whole like emotional scene where they actually end up in an embrace. And June's holding Serena's head the way Nick holds her head and keeps saying it's okay. And then she pulls back and looks in her eyes and says she's going to be okay. And Serena is crying and saying, you were supposed to protect her. And it's June that says, God will protect her, have faith. And this is the one time, maybe the only time, I am fully on Serena's side. Were this not a TV show, I would not forgive June for putting her baby's safety into someone else's hands. Unless it was Nick's, maybe. But like, she's tried to get across the border. She knows how dangerous and unlikely success is. So handing your baby to anybody is insane.
And she didn't have any food.
I know.
Like he couldn't. There was no way for June to know how long it would take for them to get to Canada.
Right.
So the baby could starve
right
before they get there.
And June can feed the baby. Yeah, good point. I hadn't even thought about that.
Did you feel like it looks like it's like not that long though? You feel like it's really easy to just cross the border when they do?
It depends upon how far they were able to get her.
Yeah, but that's it. It seems like they were really, really close.
Yeah, it seemed like they put her right out on by that bridge, like so she could swim across. So
right. They make it look really easy in this version, but
it's really silly.
Right.
Yes.
So, yeah.
But no, you're right on the food thing, because in June's last attempt, it took, what was it, 3 months at the Globe before she was able to move.
right.
How does she know it's not going to be the same way? And she sent the baby, like you said, with no food, no diapers, no clothes, no nothing.
Like she says, you have to have faith. Doesn't she say something like that? Like have faith.
oh yeah, God will take
Yeah.
care of the baby.
God will take care of it. So
It's okay. I know they want her in Gilead. I get it, but
Yeah.
I'm totally with Nick and Serena for being furious. Speaking of Nick, he is also angry and he follows her up the stairs and he's as mean to her as he's ever been, I think. What's wrong with you? Do you know how many people risk their lives to get you out? Jesus, June, you're so fucking selfish. There won't be another chance. You know that. You're never getting out. You're going to fucking die here. And then she stops then in her doorway and says, I know that. Don't you think I fucking know that? And here is a cut scene that I also really wish they would have left, because Nick and June make up here, I think. And she says she fucked up and Nick holds her and she cries and they're like, okay again. But instead we never see that in the show. And
a bummer.
yeah. And yeah, we just never, I mean, the next thing we see between them is they seem to be okay and saying, take care, right?
Right.
Yeah. I think it would have made a lot more sense with the take care scene if we had the little bit of the makeup there.
Yeah.
Because it does, you're right, it does just seem like they're magically kind of okay again.
Yeah. And I would like to see June take a little bit of responsibility too, you know?
That too.
Mhm.
His anger was totally justified at her in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And I think anytime he's angry with her, which is really only the second time he's, yelled at her, swore at her, it's because he's scared for her safety.
Right.
He doesn't ever act that way unless he thinks she's in danger. And he knows now, this is very dangerous, what she did. And now he knows, what, she's never going to get out again. And he's scared that she is going to die there.
Well, and he's scared that his daughter might not make it. I mean,
that too.
He's like, oh my gosh, we got our daughter out. We have no idea if she's going to survive this. Like he probably thinks the best chance of her survival would have been with her mother. That's like was the intention. So of course he's going to be livid. We have no idea if Emily's going to be able to make it. I mean, our baby's alone now without a parent, and you would be. And I still think his reaction was very contained, and it was very typical. He was upset and he had his tone, but he was still really reserved. You know, you'd be so pissed. I don't know. I'd be slamming walls.
I think it's also like he had that one card to play, like he was risking his life and he's probably going to pay for what he's done with Fred. And then she's still here. She's, you know, they're no better off.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's why he's also so angry, right?
An hour ago, he thought both of the people he loved were going to be safe, you know, and now.
Well, that was a reason why he held Fred hostage. And
he endangers his own life for them.
Here she's back. Let's hope my daughter gets out. He's probably like, oh my gosh, I'm on the wall. And I don't even know if any of this worked.
Yeah, pretty much.
No, she's safe, right?
But it's like him and every one of those Marthas that helped her across the backyard. Like if the whole story were to get out the way it happened, it's not just going to blow back on him and the house. It's going to blow back on every Martha that helped.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of people. So he was right when he said, you know, do you know how many people risk their lives? It was a lot of people. And she was incredibly selfish. He called it like it was.
I mean, we understand, but it's still selfish.
That's probably due to the resistance and Mayday. So if that, you know, those people get killed or get captured, they might, you know, say other things about the resistance that could get other people in trouble. So yeah, big deal.
I would really have liked to have seen her apologize here and accept that she made a mistake, you know?
Yes.
And I'm by no means am I a June hater. I am a June lover, but this scene bothered me. Then we see how hard it is for Emily immediately with a crying baby, drones and sirens everywhere, a freezing cold river she's trying to cross with a very loud crying baby, and a strong current starts to sweep them away and underwater. And I was absolutely terrified the first time I watched this scene that the baby was dead.
Me too.
Because the baby stopped crying, and even Emily is gulping air when she finally gets out of the water. And she says, "Come on, Nicole," and starts crying no before finally the baby cries. Thank God. But yeah, I remember thinking the baby was dead.
I was bawling hysterically. I was like, like seriously bawling hysterically. I could barely even hear. I had to rewind it.
No, I was sitting there. I remember just completely like unmoving. I was like, there's no way they're going to kill. They can't. A baby? Yeah. I was like.
Oh, man. Luckily they didn't. And then the policeman comes and tries to take Nicole. But he says, no, it's okay. And he puts one of those aluminum blankets on her because Emily doesn't realize she's in Canada, it seems. And then he starts to recite the refugee question. Do you wish to seek asylum in the country of Canada? And she realizes she's made it to Canada and starts crying and loudly says, yes, we do. And that's lovely. And then Serena is taking care of her missing finger. She's clearly been crying all night. And Fred comes in, asks if she's okay. And she says, I need to keep it clean. He said he's heading to the office. Will she be all right? Why is he being nice to her? I really thought he would be more furious with everyone, but I guess he's just trying to maintain a image of control in the house, acting like he's taking care of her.
I think that's.
And I think at this point, he's put together an idea for how he's going to wrap it all up in a bow and spin it and save them all.
Mm-hmm.
Including himself.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Of course.
And he tells the story that he's weaving of Joseph attacked Aunt Lydia, stole Nicole and ran. Serena and June tried to stop her. It's the only way to keep you off the wall. And she said that he doesn't need to protect her. And he says, I'm protecting this house. God has made me master of an incredible woman. Vomit. Oh, I hate him.
Master.
Yeah.
Oh, master. To be the master of everyone.
Oh, I hate that word. And so Marina reminds him that she sent her away. It was her choice. And he says he'll fix things and things will go back to the way they were. Yay. It's always been so nice there. And then Serena's putting her teal costume back on, tying her hair back, looking at herself in the mirror. Mirrors are pretty symbolic, as we've learned. Who is she? And then she's pouring out what I think is the alcohol she was cleaning her finger with.
Yep. Yes.
And the liquid turns into the water that June's washing her face with. And then June starts to smell smoke, starts to see the smoke, reacts pretty slowly to all of this, and like takes a moment to look at it, looks pretty, and then follows it to Serena's room. And when she opens the door, you can see the fire reflected on June. But then when she walks in, there's this amazing shot of Serena in front of the burning bed. Mm-hmm. I love that shot.
Did you guys notice that the credits from the episode before was burning down the house, and then at the end credits, and then she's burning down the house then now, and the season premiere.
I just love that it comes after Fred says, I'm protecting this house. And then she's just like, well, I'm going to ban it. So, fuck you. I don't need saving.
Yeah, it's not worth protecting anymore.
She doesn't want to get it back to normal. She needs the change. So she lights that fire for change, literally. Torches the place.
And the shot with them both in front of the bed where they've been raping her, time after time.
Yeah.
And you see her burning. I thought that was quite cool.
I bet June thought it was quite cool too. I bet June would have liked to start that fire herself. Fucking bad man. But like the cinematography in this whole scene is just amazing.
This episode especially is really good.
Yeah, every episode, obviously.
I also really like the use of fire is like a method. Like, the last episode there was the fire so they could get away, and now there's the fire so they can again clean up the mess from the last episode. I love how the show uses fire all the time to represent almost like a cleansing, I guess, not really, or like a new beginning, which is fitting. You rise from the ashes.
Yeah,
it's really cool.
And then finally, June reaches her hand out to Serena, and she's been saying Serena's name over and over again. And finally, Serena takes it, and they go down the stairs, and June tells Rita and Serena to get out, but she stays a while, watching the smoke, touching the walls. She seems to be genuinely enjoying it, even though she didn't set it herself. And her voiceover, it says, "Lord Jesus, be revealed from heaven with his mighty angels in flaming fire. Thou shalt take vengeance. Burn, motherfucker, burn."
Love that bit.
I know. And playing I Don't Like Mondays by the Boomtown Rats. And it's such a brilliant montage as the doors blow open and the fire comes out. And first we see the Scrabble board destroyed, where the director of the episode has spelled out his name, by the way.
Love that.
Mike Barker, by the way, is the director of this awesome episode. Worthy of his name on the Scrabble board. And then Fred's decanters break, the books are on fire, the Bible, and out in the street, everybody's taking it in, and June and Rita and Serena watching the house burn. And then the nursery starts to burn, and then June's room. But the quote on her wall is the last to go.
I just remember thinking when she scratched it into the wall, I was like, how are they gonna deal with that? How are they gonna clean this up on the wall? It's very noticeable. And then in the next episode, they just burn the whole house down, and that's how they take care of it. So
I like that it's the last shot of the house, inside the house, that we see.
Yeah. You know what makes me sad that is not in the show? The set that they built Nick's apartment at that house in Canada. And then they took it apart after this. They should have left it up.
Yeah.
I'd like to visit the garage. So then we're in a Canadian hospital, and Emily and Holly are walking in. People are gathering to watch. Dr. Chung greets her and is very welcoming, but Emily won't let go of the baby, and that's fine. And then everyone breaks out into applause, and goddamn it, I'm crying again. Like, I love that scene. It's so nice.
It was so moving.
Yeah, I love it.
I wish they would stop making me cry every single episode. Oh, and Adam Taylor's music there is just perfect for making me cry worse, but it's beautiful. It's very fitting. And the clapping continues as we look at June's face outside the burning house, I guess because she's succeeded in getting her daughter out. And then Rita's putting Serena in the car. Fred's standing at the fence staring at June when Nick comes around the corner, and he seems startled to see her and slows up a little. And she looks like she thinks he's still mad at her, I guess is my impression. And she gets up to walk away, but right after he walks by her, he stops and says his trademark, "Hey," and she turns and he says, "Take care," and she smiles and says, "You too." And I guess that's all the making up we get, but it seems like they're okay now. Not everybody's impression.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a goodbye.
Yes, because the shot of them walking separate directions, I hate. It breaks my heart. They're not going to live together anymore. Oh, and Fred yells Nick when he sees him talking to June because Fred sucks.
Yeah.
And then Fred gets in the car, and Nick and June look at each other one more time, like sadly, before getting in their respective vehicles. And then we get another sad shot of their vehicles driving opposite directions down the street. Sad, 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 sad. And then an aunt tells June's back at the Red Center, and the aunt tells June, "The McKenzies may forgive you, but God requires penance." And she's walking downstairs. That's Aunt Elizabeth at the bottom of the stairs, right? I hate her. Anyway. Stops for a long look and then goes to get on the table for her annual foot lashing. And then we're with Luke running out of his apartment to something. He runs into Moira and asks if she knows what this is, and she doesn't know either. They're some sort of like mail place, I guess, and Moira is trying to butter the lady up by saying she does refugee intake at another office. And she gives Luke the envelope and he opens it and it's a picture of Hannah. He just keeps saying, she's so big. Then Emily is behind them with Holly and asks, are you Luke? And when he says yes, she tells him that his wife saved her life. It's kind of strange that the photo of Hannah got separated from Holly.
The actual baby and Emily.
And Emily, yeah.
That's what I was wondering about too. Like, why did this happen?
Yeah.
How did this happen?
Mm-hmm.
And that it survived the river current. Like that is,
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
In really great shape.
Maybe it had a name, and then the name Hannah Bankel, like that was how he was related to Luke. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know the logistics, but Moira's never met Emily, right? They didn't seem to recognize each other.
Yeah, not that.
Like at the Red Center?
So.
No, they wouldn't be at the
No,
center together.
No.
Okay. Meanwhile, in Gilead, June is scrubbing the floor while the other handmaids walk across her recent work, pissing her off. But then another handmaid comes and brings her a new bucket of water and tells her they're safe. Emily and the baby made it, and June is clearly ecstatic now. Doesn't mind the work now. She got one daughter out. Well, Emily did. And when she returns to her room, I don't know how she's walking so well, but her suitcase is packed and her bonnet's on top, and she's getting a new posting. June holds her head high as she walks to get her stuff, and we see a shot of the red van, and then she's inside Commander Lawrence's house. Yay! I do enjoy his wit, and he asks, "You're not going to be any trouble, are you?" LOL.
That's exactly what I had in my notes. I had LOL.
Yeah. And then the episode ends on her face as she lies. No, sir.
Yeah.
Of course not.
Love it.
Okay, I think that is a wrap on our spoiler-free discussion of season 3, episode 1. And this is where we're going to move into our deep dive discussion. So if there are any thoughts about the episode in the context of the show to date, we're going to talk about those now. So if you're a new watcher and you don't want to hear those, we will see you on Thursday for season 3, episode 2. Thanks for listening. Bye. Did you guys have deep dive notes?
The biggest one I had was, the scene with Nick where he says, "You're never getting out of here." When I watched it this time, I was like, well, guess what? Surprise. She is actually going to get out.
Mm-hmm.
But then I started thinking about it more, and, physically she's out of Gilead, right? But I think mentally she is still there.
She's never getting out.
She's never getting out. Yeah. So it made me realize that line is actually kind of loaded. There's different ways to get out, physically, yes, but mentally, I think she's still very much there in that mindset, which is shown by once she got out to Canada, she still wanted revenge on Fred.
Mm-hmm.
She still wanted to come back. She was still thinking of Nick. So in many ways, she still has not left Gilead, even though physically she is in Canada now.
Right.
Well, especially because it's her daughter's
Right.
still there.
That's true. Yeah.
She's never going to leave until Hannah's out. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But
Yeah,
there's very good reason for her to still be mentally in Gilead, but that just struck me.
It would have been interesting to see her mental situation if she had gotten Hannah out also. Curious if she could settle then. I'm not sure that she could then either, but
No, it's like in her.
No,
we
maybe
may
that's
never know.
Nope.
I had this point about Hannah, about how Ms. McKenzie said that she was getting confused by June continuously coming to her and insisting on seeing her, and how they shut her in this box in episode 403.
Yeah.
So obviously something like that is definitely going to traumatize her, and not only confuse her, but also traumatize her. And I was just thinking about how much Hannah has gone through. I'm not saying that Ms. McKenzie was right when she blamed all of this on June, but she does have a point in the way that everything that's happening isn't good for Hannah and her mental state at all, and her mental development. No matter whose fault it is, all of this is really bad for her.
Yeah. I think what they did with the torture box in season 4 was probably really great for aligning Hannah with Gilead over June, because she's probably possibly already leaning that way with whatever they've been telling her, and the brief situations where she's seen her where she's, they're traumatic. They're always pulling her away and she's screaming, crying. So there's always that. But what would you do, Sarah? Would you quit?
It's a really good question, because Like on the other hand, of course, she's June's daughter. Like every mother would go for her child, but at the same time, I think the McKenzies, they do love Hannah.
Yeah.
As much as they possibly can. And they're not bad people, or at least Mrs. McKenzie isn't a bad person as far as Gilead people go. So Hannah's situation isn't the worst that it could possibly be. And we also hear about that from Nick in episode 409. And she's doing well at school and so on. Yeah. So Hannah's actually doing as well as she possibly could in her situation.
Right.
At the present time.
Yeah. Exactly. Like until they marry her off to some old dude.
Yeah.
She's fine.
That's the problem, her future.
Exactly.
Yeah. Which is just a few short years off.
So I think you risk trauma. If it were me, you risk traumatizing her in order to get her out.
Yeah.
Right. Especially because she's like 10, 11. So she's close to being married.
2 years away.
Yeah. Is it just when they start their periods? Is that when they're
just after? Yeah,
I think so, because wasn't Esther like 14 and she had been married at least a year? So she was like, the average age for a girl is like 12 and a half if you're going to average it. Some get it sooner.
In the testaments, it says that, it is after they got the period, but they go through a training process of becoming a wife.
Right.
So there is a little bit of a gap, but it's pretty much once you get your period.
Right. So if you're 11, you're probably ready to be married off by 12 after you go through the training.
Also, after June has seen Esther and gotten to know her situation, like that has to make it a lot more real and horrifying to her that could happen to Hannah, right? I mean, she was gang raped by whoever?
Everybody. Pretty much anybody in the vicinity.
So I don't think I could stop. Maybe you wouldn't just visit her for fun while she's sleeping, but you would still try to find a way to get her out.
Yeah, the clock is running out and it's not an easy thing to organize. So she can't stop because she's losing time, which Hannah doesn't have.
Yeah, I feel like June continuously trying to remind Hannah that she's got a mother and father who love her, and they are not the McKenzies. Like that's maybe that's not something she should be doing, but she definitely should be trying to get her out of there. Like no matter who gets her out, or even if Hannah would ever be able to live with her and Luke again. Yeah. To try to get her out.
Totally. Just for her safety. And do you think that Hannah remembered June in the box? Like, I think she did. She was just terrified.
Yes, I think she did.
I don't know.
I wonder what they had told her, Hannah, because she reacted like she was terrified of June. So I almost wonder if they fed her a bunch of stories about June. This woman's very dangerous. She's going to hurt you if you go with her.
Kidnaps children. She probably
exactly. So if they fed her all sorts of propaganda, and she believed it.
She does, but she still knows that it's her mother.
She does remember her in the summer house. I don't know what she wouldn't like. She would be that scared of her. She knows who she is, so that's what I think that maybe she doesn't remember anymore. I don't know what has it been, a year? Because obviously she was pregnant.
Yeah, so it couldn't have been that long. So she can't have forgotten.
Right? Yeah. It's only been about a year. Not even. Right?
Based on the age of Holly, I mean, she's what, a year, maybe max?
Yeah.
Year and a half tops, I would say.
Yeah.
I mean,
somewhere between 12 and 18 months, I would say.
Right.
But also June looked scary. She'd been coming out of like a week of torture or whatever too. So, and Hannah was in a box. That's pretty scary in and of itself. I do think that she probably doesn't want to see her mom anymore at this point. And it'll be interesting in season 5 if that happens again or what.
We will have to wait and see.
I really want to see Nick with Hannah. I really want to see Nick.
Oh, so do I. Like, we should just go right into what do we hope happens.
But like a nice, just them two, no Gilead stuff, just him being there for Hannah. That'd be so good.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
And right now, Hannah might actually find Nick to be less scary than June.
Yeah,
probably.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I just hope we do see him watching over her in some way. I mean, we know he is because he has people watching her, but I have a feeling that she's going to be back in the Boston area from Colorado. So maybe he will be able to keep an eye on her.
Hopefully.
Do you guys think she intended Luke to raise the baby or assumed that Emily would take the baby to Luke?
Yes.
She seems shocked when she finds out, though, I think.
I don't know if that was shocking, like shocked or happy. Shocked, like, yes, maybe. That's what I intended. Because who else? I mean, she knows Luke is alive.
I'm trying to imagine sending my baby with my boyfriend and my husband and how that would go.
Well, you just know that
Yeah,
he
well,
took care of your first daughter so well because he is a good dad. So you know
Yes.
you'd hope that he would do the same.
Well,
And at that point, he thinks he doesn't know the baby is Nick's. He thinks it's Waterford's too.
Right. And the bonding
Right.
is a tough process.
But that's also very hard to like wanting to, look after that baby that's coming to the world in that way. It's pretty horrifying. So yeah, it's good of Luke that he does.
Yes. It's interesting what OT said about that recently. He said in an interview, it's going to sound really unsympathetic, but I think Luke's a coward, he says. He's afraid of standing up against Gilead when it first comes. He's afraid of making a stand. He's afraid of going back to Gilead to get his daughter. He's afraid and he hates himself for his cowardice. He tries to compensate for it by going to the protests and the embassy, and he tries to compensate for it with unwavering love and devotion for June. I think when he got Nicole, that was an opportunity to redeem his cowardice to make up for this huge flaw. So,
Yep.
but he does, like, at first he rejects her a little, right? He's not bonding.
Yeah, he does.
Now, because he didn't do right by, he doesn't feel he did right by Hannah and June leading up to them being kidnapped. Kind of was okay with what was happening. As we saw, he wasn't really too concerned when June lost her job because he could take care of her. So maybe he's feeling haunted by his passiveness of the situation. That was dire, and they needed to get out sooner, and he didn't do that. So now he's going to make up for it by being a good father to Nicole.
Moira also really didn't want to have a child. We saw in, earlier episodes. Well, she did have a child, but as a surrogate. So yeah, it's really interesting in season 4 seeing how good they are at being parents together for her.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just going to talk about the testaments a little here. So if anybody doesn't want to hear about that, you should stop listening. But it's just, I think it's so sad to me that in the testaments, like, I think that Luke and Moira could have gone into hiding with the baby. And because I think one of the saddest parts of the testaments is that Holly grows up feeling unloved, See her feelings that, being so loved in season 4 with Moira and Luke. I don't know. It's just a bummer. I guess that's going to be happening in season 5. So
yeah, it looks like it. I mean, she was well taken care of.
Because they could use Moira and Luke to raise her.
They could, but I don't think so.
Because of their fate, but they probably wouldn't want to kill them.
Right.
But,
right.
No.
I mean, they just changed that. I would do. Oh,
I always thought it could be Emily that takes care of her. But that's not going to happen.
Well, we definitely know it's not going to be Emily now. Yeah, because she thinks they're her parents. So I don't know if we're going to ignore race.
Yeah, that's it. I think that's important that she, she's really in shock that they are not her biological parents.
Right.
Whereas if they were Moira and Luke, obviously she probably would have. She isn't,
because she always felt like there was some type of she was well taken care of and liked, but didn't belong. Right. She they treated her like a prized pet. They almost fawned over her because she is this baby Nicole, but it wasn't like a maternal or paternal feeling that she got from them.
I'd also really like to know where the show would have gone had she not written the testaments here, because we know that later in the season that they cut, Nick was getting closer to Commander McKenzie, and I would really like to know if he was going to get Hannah out. If Margaret,
I think he was, and he was probably going to go down with a blaze of glory, I guess.
I don't think they would have had June see Hannah at the house in 210, because it did always strike me as weird that she saw her at the house and she clearly remembered June, and then in 403 she's terrified of her. So I think if they had known that Hannah was not going to get out in the testaments, they would have not had her see June again, or at least not react, remembering her.
Right.
Yeah, the testaments happened, didn't they?
It did.
So I have to accept that. My only notes were just it's extra sad seeing them walk away from each other, knowing that this whole rest of the season they're hardly going to see each other. But obviously it's not over though. So
no.
That was what I thought. Those shots of them walking away from each other are beautiful, and the overhead shot of the cars going opposite direction.
So symmetrical.
It's beautiful. And I remember at the time I was like, oh, I love that. That's really sad. They're going their separate ways. And then I didn't think it would be a whole season of them not seeing each other. I was like, oh, that's very symbolic. Yes, it was very symbolic. And you didn't pick up on the symbolism. You didn't want to accept it. They clearly told you what was going to happen in the first episode, and you just didn't want to believe it. You know, Iggy said we definitely made up for it in season 4. So
Yes.
Yeah.
It also reminded me when he said take care of season 4, when he's like, keep yourself safe.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then just as we were talking, I just wrote, does June ever apologize? Or does June ever accept responsibility for fucking up?
I feel like in season 4, she sort of starts thinking about it. I think is it in episode 407, maybe? That she sort of compares herself to Serena, like she's evil or she's...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So you can see that there's something there that she feels like she's done a lot of things wrong.
Yeah, and she doesn't
ever
seem
will.
apologetic. She just acknowledges that she's turning into something similar to Serena. I mean, I guess the last time she did, she kind of just like lost herself. So that was when she tried to escape in the last season, and Omar gets hung, and she definitely accepts that and that wasn't even her fault. I guess she forced herself into the car, but she does accept it then, and then she loses like her grip on reality. So I guess maybe she learned from that she's just gotta barrel through life and live with her decisions, whoever they kill.
She has to fall apart later. Mama's got to work. She doesn't have time to really hold herself. She can't let herself have those feelings, because take away from the work that needs to be done.
Even when Janine was like yelling at her in season 4 in the milk train, I can't remember, did she apologize? I think Janine was wrong in that scene. There's no way in hell that Janine wouldn't have told them where the handmaids were if they were threatening Caleb or Charlotte. But Janine's trying to get through to her that she fucks up.
Right. She's just trying to get through to her about, right, her actions have consequences. But yeah, I know Janine would have done the same thing. Yeah, any mom would have.
Yeah. I wonder do you guys think Janine will get out season 5?
I hope so.
I feel like Charlotte has to get out if Hannah can't get out because of the testaments. I feel like there needs to be a child getting out, and that I think that she's been filming this season too. So it'd be nice for that to happen, but really sad for Janine to find out that Caleb's dead.
Yeah.
It'd be nice if it wasn't a kidnapping, like if it was something that like Naomi just did, because I mean, I don't know if Naomi really ever wanted to be a parent, a mom. So
doesn't seem like
maybe she's like, here, the baby's in Canada, take it.
Yeah.
Surprised she didn't find out the Angel's flight was going, and she's like, "You want another baby?" Like,
Exactly.
Let her go.
Well, maybe that will happen. Who knows?
Do you guys have anything else?
I had one more thing.
Yeah.
It was about Nick and Serena. Like in this episode, we see Nick offer Serena a cigarette. Like in this moment, they are reluctant allies, and this is really the first scene where we see a sort of a more similar dynamic. Like in season 1, he goes to get Serena when June is being interrogated about Emily in the house. He goes to get Serena. So I think for Nick, who is obviously he's someone who really doesn't like being in a position of power over women, that Serena is someone who he sympathizes a lot more with, at least compared to Fred. I don't think he feels much kinship with Fred or pretty much anything as a hatred. But with Serena, it's more complicated. With June and Serena, we see that there's this Stockholm syndrome type of a relationship.
Yeah.
Definitely going. I don't think it's necessarily as bad for Nick, and it's not as intense. But I think that some of the similar elements are present there as well.
Yeah.
I'd really like to see Nick have a confrontation with Serena though in season 5. I would like Nick, because I mean, she got Eden killed basically. She brought Eden into the fucked up situation that gets him killed. All despite Nick and June. She tries to get Holly back after she's safe in Canada. She's done a lot of bad things to people that he cares about, and I would like to see him get angry with her if they are both in the same place in season 5.
Do you think he knows about the last ceremony when they rape her when she's 9 months pregnant?
I think
if he does, I think he would really want to.
Yeah,
I think he could know by the testimony now, because that was in the testimony, wasn't it? That she was raped.
Yeah.
So he might know now, and by 4/8 he knows.
I kind of felt like he probably I kind of felt like he must have assumed that. I don't think June ever told him because there's nothing he could do except get killed or just, feel terrible. But I think with the way that she was acting, that he must have suspected that, what else could they have done?
In the testimony, doesn't June say they held me down 9 months pregnant and raped me?
Does, yeah.
So yeah, he's probably like, oh, just the visual on that. He probably.
Yeah. I think if she had told him in the car when they were going to the house, when he was like, what did they do? Tell me, what did he do to you? I think he would have turned the car around and go back to the house and killed Fred and been like, all right, we're going to go now. That's at least what I think. Like, I think that would have been enough to like snap his his even keel, like something that violent and awful.
Yeah, he might have had an inkling, but didn't want to know. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, was protecting himself from knowing. Yeah.
I'm over him being respectful to Serena.
Me too.
Same.
When's the last time we saw them together? Are they
306 in DC? Openly flirting in front of Serena, a nice girl like you in a place like this.
No, like also Serena had to have heard that.
Yeah.
I don't think they care because obviously both Nick and June knows Serena knows, right? I mean,
oh god,
yeah. So they're like, whatever, we'll just flirt right in front of this.
Yeah. He's a
Let's
commander
hope
at
she
that
heard
point.
it. Yeah.
So.
And Serena will have to know that he was involved in the Fred thing. So I imagine she will be angry enough with him anyway.
Yes. I feel like she'll come after him. Yeah.
I look forward to that.
Sadly.
Okay. Everybody's good?
I've got some parallels.
Yeah, let's hear them.
When she's sniffling. Oh, Hannah, sorry. She sniffs her, like taking in her scent. And that's something that she does with Holly when obviously she gives her away, to Emily. But she also does that with Nick when they're saying goodbye and for the three. So I thought that was
on the bridge. Cute. I know she's
trying to like remembering the people she loves.
Yeah, it's a big thing that she does with everybody that she loves. And good point. She does it here.
She just inhales them. She takes them in to remember them. Yeah. That was a beautiful.
I love that. I love that on the bridge, especially like going up to his forehead and making that whole,
deep inhale.
Remembering you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so sad too.
And I also had the bridge. Is that the bridge where Emily's crossing with Nicole? Is that the same bridge where they bring Fred to Lawrence and Nick? Does it look like it?
I didn't realize. I didn't look at it for that, but it did look similar.
It did.
I'll have to go back.
It looked like it to me.
I mean, that makes sense. It's obviously Canada.
It's meant
yeah, because it has to be near the border.
Yeah,
it has the border right in the middle of the bridge. So.
But I also thought it was interesting to see Emily running through the woods after having the conversation with June about her being very scared, running away with Hannah. And then that's how they kind of like start planning their revenge against Fred. And that being the point where they separate as well. So I thought that was quite a nice part.
They've both been there. It also reminded me a little of actually that scene of Nick holding him in the room, not talking, reminded me of Nick not talking to him in the end of 410 because June wanted him to be terrified. Also fits with Nick's personality, obviously, but it's enjoyable. His lack of communication and explanation. Yeah.
Stoic.
Okay, well, I think that's a wrap on our deep dive into season 3, episode 1 of The Handmaid's Tale. Come back Thursday to discuss season 3, episode 2. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.
I think about us, the three of us, what we could be. I think about it all the time.
Please. It's terrible.
No, it's not. I know June. She's my friend. I care about her. How's your day going? You look pretty.
Thanks. I wore it just for you. Her father's a driver named Nick. He helped me to survive. Yes, you can, because I can't lose you.
I'm not gonna let anything happen to you.
What about you? Your girlfriend is a badass.